Hello, and welcome to another episode of Community Conversations, the podcast for those who have a heart for helping others. In this episode, we're coming to you from Connect Global, a drug and alcohol rehabilitation centre. Unlike other centres, this one is about rebuilding the man and not just treating existing addictions. To unpack this amazing story, it's over to you, Pietro.
I'm here this afternoon with Adam, Brett, Mick and Ross. And Ross is actually the manager and also the lead pastor here of this facility. First question to you, Ross. Could you tell us how you got involved in drug and alcohol rehabilitation programs?
Yeah, about 30 odd years ago, I was invited to go and look after a care ministry in one of the churches in Newcastle, which was a city church. And in my role there, I needed to define what I was actually going to do. So I decided to go and sit in the local court of Newcastle, and I done that for 1 week. And so then the following week I went into the district court just to investigate the need in that place, and it was pretty much the same. A lot of drug and alcohol related problems were really cutting loose in the life of the city, and so through that I decided a need in Newcastle would be to get a drug and alcohol rehabilitation, education and training centre alive. So I formed the City Care program in Newcastle. That was back in 1995, I think. In 2013, I acquired this property here at Swan Bay and decided that I would go down a different track. And there was a huge problem with people that have been incarcerated. And so from that point, we've developed this program that we currently have here today.
Thanks, Ross, for that great introduction. I might just now ask Adam, if you could just share with us, Adam, give us a bit of an overview of what it's like to be a participant here in the program.
First of all, this program is like nothing else I've ever witnessed in my recovery. Coming from a good upbringing to troubled life into a program like this is just a real eye opener. It's a real shake up of my life. The day-to-day running of the place is phenomenal. We start with a morning walk. We get involved in morning meetings, NA programs. It's just a good, clean lifestyle here. There's a lot of fitness-based programs around the place, good work ethic, and I guess just general well-being of our lives. So to me, it's the core fundamentals of this place that just keeps us strong, keeps us growing, and keeps us on our general good path to recovery.
How long have you been involved in the program for, please, Adam?
I've been involved since January 2021, coming out of incarceration myself after a few years of addiction and coming into here to a nice, clean environment, good role models, good support staff around me, and good people along my recovery journey. It's been a long process. I've been here for about 18 months now. And, you know, my recovery is always going to be a journey, but this place has made it everything for me.
Have you been to other rehabs before, and what was your experience, Adam, with previous places that you've been to?
Yeah, well, look, I've actually been into a private institution, which, you know, supposedly is the best thing. It was $30,000 a month, but it wasn't for me. It was bookwork. It was waking up every day, doing some courses, going for lunch, coming back, doing courses, and honestly, it taught me nothing. It didn't change my lifestyle. It never changed the approach as to being a man what we focus on here. You know, the fundamentals, as I said, of this program is about being mature and decisive and consistent and strong and responsible. I never learnt those things till I come here. I'm 41 years old now, and I finally decided in my life that I am a man, and that's what this place has taught me. This is what it's brought to me is that pure word, a man.
Being a man.
Being a man, yeah.
I'm just going to go to Brett for a minute. Brett, thinking back over your life, what was the beginning of the road for you that led you to Connect Global?
The beginning of the road where I came to be in contact with Connect Global, really I was sitting in jail, and my solicitor had advised me that potentially rehab may have been an option, something that would either help me, but it also would assist me in my parole or in my bail application. I had a fairly long conversation with Ross over the phone. He doesn't do visual assessments. He just speaks to you and listens to the heart of the man. I came into the Connect Global facility.
And what's been your experience as a resident of this facility?
My experience has been quite a genuine experience from the leadership here in the team, but also from Ross. It's a very genuine, heartfelt guidance and leadership. It's practical. It makes you think. It slows you down. It gives us time to actually assess ourselves, look inside ourselves, and see what we actually have inside us. Look into our own hearts. And actually examine where we went wrong. We're not being taught textbooks, and we're actually being guided by Ross and by the team to actually find our own way, discover within ourselves the person that we truly are.
So what would be your daily routine here today?
Once again, we rise early in the morning. It's a physical morning. We get up, we walk maybe 3 k's up the road. We've got a long driveway on the rural property. We come down and we have breakfast. We have the gym facility, which a lot of the boys use. We get our daily jobs that we have to do around the property maintaining. We have a morning meeting. There's a lot of camaraderie. There's a very, very strong brotherhood that if anyone's dragging the chain, if anyone's got something everyone's got their own issues, their own personal things going on. You can tell the difference in the morning if someone's not 100%. The other boys rally around them. There's 30 guys here. There's no fights. There's no arguments. It's a all in, one in, or one in, all in sort of attitude. Yeah.
Thanks, Brett. We might just over to Mick for a moment. Mick, could you tell us the person that's made the biggest impact on your life whilst you've been a participant here at Connect Global?
Okay, so the person that's probably made the biggest impact in my life would probably have to be Ross. Ross is not only a mentor, a great teacher, but he takes on such a father figure role for a lot of us guys that have struggled or may have been lacking that in our lives. For me, the biggest impact that Ross made on my life, and I've said this to many people, even my mother had said this, is Ross saved my life. If it wasn't for Ross, to be honest, I don't think I'd be here today to be able to have this conversation. So yeah, I'd have to say Ross Penn has been the biggest impact in my life.
Thanks, Mick. Over to you, Ross Penny. These 3 gentlemen speak very highly of you. What do you think is the unique position that you have, or what is it about you personally do you think that's made a big difference to Connect Global?
Oh, that's a pretty hard question to answer, really. But it's a good question. I think loving these guys in a way that in the process of their time here, they end up start loving themselves. Calling the shots as they are without masking things up and lowering your standards to try and justify where they're at. It's very important in this role is to be to be a bit of a father figure to them. And I suppose if you were to look at my life, I wanted to have a rugby team. Anyway, I had 1 daughter, 4 granddaughters. But today I have all these men, I've got 30 odd men that we care for every day, and so I treat them like my sons. And that's really, I think, where the success comes. So there's no judgment. I don't want to judge them. I can't judge them. They need to judge themselves. And so I'm very, very grateful for the fact that, that we have a program that the guys actually want to get better. They make that conscious decision to want to get well and be the best man they can possibly be and behave themselves and know how to look after their wife and provide for her and protect her and role model their children. I think it's a thing that they all want, and I'm very grateful myself. I've been married for 48 years now, and through that 48 years I've experienced lots of changes for the better in my life. So it sort of runs through the whole family, so to speak.
Ross, I'm not an expert on this by any means, but from what I've done my own research, that many that are incarcerated have some really poor relationships with their fathers. Hence the reason why many of them end up in jail for whatever reason. Your experience here, you mentioned the word fatherhood. The other gentleman talked about mateship and the brotherhood. Could you maybe explore a bit further for our listening audience about fatherhood? What exactly is it, and how are you instilling that into the residents here? How's that working out?
Yeah, look, it's a key part of our operation. Our rehabilitation program is based on that fatherhood, family, manhood, going back to work, and then back out into the community as a responsible citizen. So we got to know our role in the whole fatherhood, manhood, family place. Sadly to say, there are a lot of men out there that haven't had any fathers. We've got many of them here that haven't had any father models, role models. Had mum's been the head of the house, and then the young boy decides, well, hang on a minute, my father's not here, so I'm going to become the father of the house at 13 or 12 or whatever it may be, and then for that guy to actually find that ground, if he hasn't got a role model there to role model off, he'll just do whatever he thinks is the right thing to do. He wants to protect mum, look after mum. So in our program, it's very important that, we've got to take this recovery thing. See, transformation, I really believe, comes by renewing of the mind. We have lots of stuff running through our head, and our head can get full of a lot of stuff that we don't need to be carting around in there. Here's a bit of an example. When I assess these men while they're incarcerated, I don't want to do a video hookup. I don't want to look at them. I just want to be able to do a phone link where I can just hear their heart speak. I don't need to know all their history. All I really want to hear that they really want to get their life back on track. And so I can hear their heart. I think, if you were to look in the life of this program, when I look at it, you get 30 guys that have come out of jail. In jail, it's dog eat dog and man eat man. And there's kingpins and drug dealers and all the lies that go on, all the nonsense that happens in the life of those places, all this criminal behaviour and thoughts that go on. And a lot of unclean stuff happens in those places. I don't see any rehabilitation going on in those places. So when you understand that dynamic and they come into this environment where there's security in here, there's lots of love in the place, the brotherhood is strong, the family thing is one, when they come here, they're part of a family. And so I say, come on boys, let's look after one another here. When you come in here, look after one another. Don't go taking shortcuts. We've got to get rid of all the old thoughts out of the place. And so at the end of the day, they become better men. They learn how to behave better as a man. They learn how to communicate better as a man. Then they learn how to look after themselves, and then once they can do that, they can actually start looking after others. And that's what we see in the place. They get in touch with themselves, and they don't mind being in their own skin for a change. And once they've been, through our routine, we've got a pretty tight routine here. It starts at 5:30 in the morning, finishes about 7 o'clock at night, every day of the week. And so when you look at that routine after several months, these guys actually start loving themselves. And once they start loving themselves, they actually start loving other people. And that's when the whole process of reuniting families back together again. And then it becomes another part of the whole program in, and now we've got to get mum and dad and all the family members, we've got to get them in a place of security now, because these guys have let their mums and dads down so many times. And now mum and dad find it hard to believe that they're actually getting better. So, we've got to run programs now to help them cope with their son that's actually gone through a really good positive change. So they come home and go, hey mum, I'm doing really good, and can I borrow your car? Because I just need to go somewhere. And mum goes, oh, I don't know about that, because you've crashed the last one up and created all sorts of problems, so I don't trust them. So, when these guys we've got to help mum and dad and all the family members learn how to trust these guys again.
I want to pick up on a word that you've just shared. You've shared a few things. Is the word transformation? It's a very strong word, and to me, it refers to the holistic part of the person, their emotional and their physical and even their spiritual well-being. I'm going to ask the three gentlemen in a moment what the keys were. Adam, Brett, and Mick. What were the keys for you where transformation started to take place during the time that you're been participants here at Connect Global?
I would have to say my biggest transformation was probably around the 3-month mark. And that was a stage in the part of the program, obviously, apart from the daily routine. One of the biggest keys is a lot of our Christian-based programs, such as Alpha, do an early Christians class, and then we also attend church every Sunday. So for me, one of the earliest transformation parts was actually when I found Christ again in my life. It was a renewing of my faith, and it was where I built my very own personal relationship with Jesus. And then once I sort of started handing things over to the cross and laying them at the cross, I became freer. I was actually able to release a lot of the burdens, stresses, worries in my life, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame as we carry through our addiction from the things that, as Roscoe was saying, things like mistrust from our family members, the hurt we've put them through. Finding Christ and being able to communicate that not only with God, but with obviously the psychologist that's here on site, and to just talking about it with our fellow brothers and with Roscoe, and just being able to communicate it and get those burdens off our chest. That's probably the time where, the early stages of my transformation really began.
So within 3 months, have you been here?
Within 3 months, yes.
That's it's almost a miracle.
Started.
I would say so. Look, it didn't finish. It kept on growing and building over time. So for me, 3 months is exactly where it started.
What's your relationship like with your family now?
Of complete restoration. It gone from, as Roscoe saying, total distrust. I wouldn't have been able to even borrow $20 off my mother. But now she can lend me her key card, and she knows full well that I'm coming back with it. She can trust me. I have a full restoration of relationship with my children as well. Full restoration with my partner, and restoring those right relationships. That's been key, and that has been a journey in itself.
Thanks for sharing, Mick. I'm going to just ask you, Brett, if you wouldn't mind. I'll ask the question again. What do you think's been the keys to transformation for you during the time that you've been here at Connect Global?
To be honest, the transformation for myself, my own personal journey, I think also was around the couple of months, 3 months, where we were sort of really guided along a path. To achieve restoration, we needed to stop. We needed to slow down. We needed to actually cut off almost the outside world for a minute, drop our phones, drop all our connections with all the people that we were running around with, wheeling and dealing with, the people who were our friends but weren't really our friends, clearing out the dead wood of all of that hustle bustle world, and just having that time to stop and reflect on yourself, who you want to become, where you went wrong, what actually happened during the situation, because quite often, personally for me, my situation that landed me in jail was quite a hullabaloo. It was I didn't even have a full memory of all of the things that happened due to alcohol, and to sit back and to slow down and to be reflective of what actually happened and gather those thoughts, cut off the outside world, not so much your family, but all those hangers on, those friends, as I mentioned, and then to just reflect. Alongside that, running alongside that at the same time is, of course, abstinence. There's no drugs, no alcohol, no substance whatsoever unless it's medication within the program. And then the reflection, to actually have the time. You're not running off to work. You actually have got that time to slow right down and think and reflect.
You mentioned that you had to let go of relationships because they could have been a bit toxic for you. What's been the relationships that you've formed within the facility here? What's that been like for you?
I myself, and I've watched people pass through the program who were here before me, and guys that are coming into the program now. Friendships that we make here. There's boys that obviously we're not getting along with everybody all the time, but the brotherhood here, as I mentioned before, is strong. There's no arguments. If there's a conflict, it's resolved. The relationships that I consider Ross a friend for life. These boys beside me, I've grown very close to. We've developed a lot of, and I see a lot of friendships and relationships develop that I now hear of and see outside. The boys that have left and completed the program are continuing that contact, and using that as a strength to guide each other as well.
Let me ask you one other further question. What's your vision for your own life for the future?
Well, my future, I've always been a carer. I've always been somebody who was empathetic to other people's problems, sometimes even more so to my own detriment. And this path now that I'm on has taken a turn from where I was headed to possibly being involved more and more into this industry to develop a caring education and learning more about how to actually transform people's lives.
Well, let me encourage you to keep doing that. That's a great thing, Brett. Adam, just for you, if you could just share us, what kind of transformation have you had whilst you've been involved with Ross and the other gentlemen here today, and maybe your own life story, if you wouldn't mind.
Transformation's a big thing for me because, as it is for most, but I have literally came from what I describe as the pits of hell to being someone that I'm actually proud of. I am proud to call myself a man. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my family, and I'm proud of my recovery. And that's been an 18-month journey. I'm someone. I walked out of my wife and 2 young babies because of my addiction and my illness, and I have to confront those demons every day. It's something I'm fighting to get through and to get my access back with my children. But I'm in a place now where I can honestly say that I'm a genuine person. I deserve that right, and I'm fighting for that right. You know, my life took a sideways turn late in life. I had a great family around me, very supportive, and for some unknown reason I went downhill in my mid-30s. I thought I had my life together until then, but now I know that I didn't. What this place has transformed me, and as Roscoe always says, it's transformation is a renewing of the mind, and it's how you renew your mind, how you set your mind focus on what you believe in and what you want to become, you become. So you leave those childish behaviours behind, you leave those negative thoughts, those toxic people, the toxic stuff in your life, and you know you can get back what you once had and even more. And that's where I'm at today. I have a beautiful supporting family. I've married a beautiful girl. We're trying to have another family. I've got 3 beautiful young kids that I talk to now, which I hadn't seen and spoken to for a long time, and I'm actually in their lives now, starting to restore that. To be honest, I couldn't have done it without here. I did not have the strength and the know-how behind me to be able to do it without Connect Global and the support team that's around here, and with the church. The church is very, very helpful and supportive. So
It seems pretty clear to me and to our listening audience from hearing you 3 gentlemen share about your life story that once here, and there's a bit of a process of, there's an intake process, an assessment process, and referrals and all those sorts of things, and tests and so forth. But once here, it seems to me that there's insurmountable support, certainly from Ross and his team, but also from one another. So I think that's really contagious. From what I'm hearing, it's quite contagious. Did you want to share a few thoughts on anything at all, Ross?
Father's Day was a big day for us, and through that whole process of Father's Day, I had a good look at really what was going on around the life of the place. Fathers that have had a son that's gone off track and landed themselves in jail. I mean, there's a bit of shame in that whole process, And I'll tell you what, I've seen so many fathers just rejoice in the fact that their son is starting to get his life back on track. And it's one of the most rewarding things in my life, is seeing, just seeing that happen. And, I look at these guys today, if we were to look at Adam's got a gift, like he's a fully qualified engineer. Fabric weld, he can do every type of weld you could possibly think of. And we picked up this old barge, right? It had been sunk in the bottom of the bay out here, and it came here and it looked a mess. But I looked at it and I thought, you know what, we could actually do something with that barge. So I went and bought it, and Adam got all the boys together and we rebuilt that thing, which is one of the best looking things out here in Port Stephens today. And when you look at that, and then we see Brett came here, and Brett was running, hotels and all these big events all around Byron Bay and doing all this stuff up there, and he also had a maintenance business running on the side and doing all these things. And he came here, and he now looks after all of our second bite stuff, which is a major part of our operation. Through the whole second bite thing, through Coles, supermarkets, he manages that thing. And does such an amazing job, which is the dynamic of that whole process that brings all the food and whatnot into our operation here, has caused us to go and rebuild all of our cool rooms. We've got brand new cool rooms and walk-in freezers. We've just spent $100,000 out there just renovating that to get that up to scratch, along with we had to go and buy a new vehicle to carry all this stuff. And Brett, was instrumental in, and he looks after that whole department now. When you think about it, it's just amazing. Then we've got Michael. I mean, when Michael first came here, his testimonies, these testimonies are true, they're real. And I'm a witness to see this stuff. I see these guys' lives absolutely transform. And with Michael, Michael was living in a tent. He had his firewood there, and he had his water, and that was it. Then he had his drugs. And his lifestyle evolved around that. And I just, look at Michael's life today. Well, Michael's my 2IC here. And Michael looks after everything that I prepared these guys for. He looks after all these work programs that go through the life of this place. Just incredible. And to see his family being totally restored, and Mum and the whole family come here to our graduation nights. I remember when Michael graduated, his whole family turned up, all of his children turned up. It was an incredible time. The fruit of that today is remarkable. So I'm very grateful for the fact that we have all these opportunities here and all these men going through a transition in life that we're starting to get the best out of them.
Ross, you've got other people here also that are working on the program, Karen and Wayne. Can you tell our audience what these people do? Who are they?
Oh, look, Wayne and Karen, husband and wife. So Wayne looks after all our admin. Wayne is the absolute key in the life of this operation, looking after all of our admin work. He does an amazing job. He's just a great guy. And his wife, Karen, she's like super mum around this place. Everybody loves Karen. Karen is just one of the loveliest ladies that you could ever meet. And I'm so grateful to have Wayne and Karen Lee on my team. I can tell you that. I've got him on holidays at the moment, and he finds it hard to actually stay away. He wants to keep coming back here all the time. And but the beautiful thing is, mate, is that they're both incredible men and women of God. I love that whole kingdom feature in the life of our program. This program here is structured on biblical grounds, and through that we have this amazing relationship where we can all sort of we can pray together, we can talk about things. I accept them for who they are, where they're at. I don't judge them on their belief. We've got Muslims, we've got all different types of Hindus, Buddhists, and they're all here. And but the bottom line is that I tell them before they get here that we're a Christian-based organisation, and all the guys that come here, we go to church every Sunday. They all love it. They all enjoy themselves there, and they all speak highly of it.
Thank you, Ross, for sharing about the program at large and everything that's involved in it, and the guys going to church and involved in, and you mentioned the word save, which is a Christian term. Imagine right now you're 21 years of age, Adam. What would be some advice that you would give to the 21-year-old version of yourself so they don't get to the situation where you are today?
You cannot tell, without a program like this, honestly, I do not believe that you can tell a 21-year-old anything. We have 21-year-old now coming into our program where Ross never used to really accept them that young. But what we have found with growing a really good relationship of men around the place, now it is suitable for 21-year-old men to come into the program and to be successful. Because what it is it's actually, because as we spoke about before, it being such a contagious program, the young offenders and stuff like that, what we hope is that they can get their lives back on track at that early age before they get to our age, before they've wasted their 20s and their 30s into their 40s and 50s, and then they've got limited life left. So if we can change them and, as you say, mould them and grow them and execute our duty well, these young 21-year-olds aren't going to want to go out and reoffend. They're going to want to go out and get themselves a house and a wife and kids and a life and restore what they're missing from their own family. So that's the main aim, and that's what I am very passionate about personally, is those young offenders to try and get into that program and get them through their addiction cycle at such an early age where they become an asset to the community, not a burden.
We've heard some great stories here today, but we have a listening audience that's really keen to help you guys, help support what you do here, and whether it's in practical ways or some other way. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our audience that would help them have a greater or a deeper understanding of Connect Global, and how can we help you?
We have a website that they can go and have a look at us, connectgloballtd.org, and if they have a look on that, they'll find us on there. Some of the things there that would benefit us, if anybody has a heart or an interest to get involved in this line of work. We have so much going on here, and what would be really good is if there's any listener out there that would like to maybe come and volunteer their services to us, we would find some place where they would actually fit into our operations, especially if they have a heart for what we're doing. We run so many work programs out here, and just supervising some of these little projects. We have gardening stuff going on, we've got welding stuff going on, we've got building stuff going on. We're painting and tiling and you name it. We've got a kitchen here that runs flat out every day. And, we have a second bite program. All this food comes in, it all has to be processed and all stashed away into our cool rooms and into our freezers. And it's a busy operation. Like I say, we start at 5:30 in the morning, and we don't close till 7 o'clock at night. By the time we lock this particular part of the operation up, then everybody goes back into the accommodation. The accommodation is another big area that we'd like to get a little bit of assistance with. So anybody that would like to come and get involved, just jump on our website. You'll get all our details on there. We'll be very happy to talk to you. And then there's also, if there's anybody there who would like to make financial gift donations, we're a registered charity, so we do tax deductions. It's coming up the end of June. It's a good time to, if you don't want to give the money to the tax man, you're quite welcome to give it to us. And your money will be well spent, I can tell you that.
It's been remiss of me actually talking about money that I actually have failed to ask one of the most important questions is, with our participants here, how much does it cost them to be involved in the program?
Okay, well so we have it's a private organisation, and so it costs $14,000 to get into our program.
Only $14,000?
Yeah, it costs $14,000.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay,
that's to get in.
Mm.
And then if you're here for 12 months, it's going to cost you $700 a fortnight. So it'll cost you roughly about $35,000 for a whole year to be part of our program. And in that program, we don't miss anything here. We get everything that we need to get the best out of everybody's well-being. So we don't, we're not begging. We don't go begging for anything. We do well. We have a good business plan. We have very good support behind us. We've got all the judges and magistrates through the legal system support us, keep on funneling people into our operation. With corrective services, we work very close with them as well. We were one of the only programs in New South Wales that were running weekly programs in here, direct line back with corrective services, probation and parole. And so we have a very good relationship with all these guys and also with the DPPs and the court prosecutions. We have a good relationship, not only with them, but also with the police. We have a very good relationship with the police. Of course, they've got to come out and do their job. And, they come out and do bail checks, and I love that. I encourage that. I don't want to turn that away. It's a key part of our operation. And when you look at our guys, so just on Friday, last Thursday it was actually, we had bail check here. They turned up about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which was a better time than turning up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I must say. And but everybody had just finished all the gym programs and had all been home having showers when they arrived. They've come back, everyone's looking nice and sharp, clean and tidy, getting ready for dinner. And the police made a statement to me saying that, Ross, how good is this place you got going here? We've never had any trouble here. Isn't that amazing? And supporting us in financial ways is a beautiful thing. There's big expense here. We've got big expenses in this place. It doesn't run for nothing. It costs a couple of $1 million to run this place a year. And but we get it. It turns up, and we're never short. So we're very grateful.
My understanding is that to keep a prisoner incarcerated in jail costs the taxpayer $150,000, and you've just shared with us here $35,000.
Big difference, isn't it?
Massive difference.
It's a big difference.
And transformation here, which my understanding again is that incarcerated prisoners could spend up to 23 hours a day, in some cases in isolation.
They can. I mean, look, it's you can't compare this place with jail, but what you can compare is the amount of money that they waste by incarcerating people than rehabilitating them. They try to tell me, I've had people try to tell me that you can get rehabilitated in jail. I've never had one bloke that's come through my program, I've been doing this for 30 odd years, has told me they've been rehabilitated in jail. I haven't had one. But, I mean, at the end of the day, this is what we do. And I think it's a bonus to society that we're actually able to get these outcomes that are so good, and it does save the government thousands and thousands of dollars.
You almost need to replicate these programs right across New South Wales, not just here in Swan Bay. For basically the cost of incarcerating one individual, you could almost facilitate 5 men having their lives transformed.
That's exactly right. Well, that's our plan now. Our plan is to replicate what we've got here now. If you were to look through all my team, like with Adam and Brett and Michael here, I mean, these are only a few of the team. And these guys have been through the whole process. They've experienced the incarceration side of things. They've experienced coming through a whole transformation, change, the whole thing about manhood, fatherhood, family, taking that responsibility, knowing how to look after their wife, provide for her, for your children, role model your kids, protect your family, and support them and love them in a way that they love you back for. And I think if you were to look at what we're developing here at the moment, we're in a really good place to go and rebuild this thing again and plant it in another part of a country. We really want to go right through the nation, and that's where I'm heading. That's where I'm heading. I had a bit of a dream, and so to become a world-class leader, we've got to get disciplined, even to a greater level. And all these men that are sitting here now, you just got to have a look at their lives. And their lives are getting brighter, clearer and uncluttered every day, and becoming these great men that I really believe God's purposed and destined us to become.
I can see, Adam, that you want to add something here.
Yeah, so I'd just like to touch base on what your question in regards to jail and the expense and stuff like that, and the way that I see it and what this place is it's a circuit breaker, and this is what's needed to stop a revolving door of jail. I personally have done 5 years jail in and out, and over a 6-year period, and it was 6 month sentence, it was an 8 month sentence, it was a 6 months, a 5 months, and where was I heading? Nowhere. Jail was doing nothing for me but keeping me off the streets for X amount of time. The judge actually brought it up to me and said, you need a circuit breaker in your life, and I agreed. And that's what this place is. It gives you that opportunity to break that cycle, break that circuit, break that addiction, and break that jail revolving door. And if there were, unfortunately, there's not more places out there like this. As I said, I've done private facilities, and there's nothing on offer there. I was refused a lot of entry into a lot of places because they don't take you from jail. So what is the circuit breaker in Australia? What gives the men of society that have just messed up, done the wrong thing, what gives them that opportunity to break that cycle of addiction and that circuit? This is what it is. It's Connect Global. That is the circuit breaker, and that is what's required.
I just want to thank your courage. I want to thank your honesty, your brutal honesty here today for this podcast. And I really think that you're living proof of the transformation that Connect Global has really had. It's very sincere. And for those listening here today to this podcast, I want to encourage you to be the circuit breaker. Be the conduit into these men's lives and others, those other 25-year-old men that are going off track tonight, your nephews and your sons that are going off track tonight. Fathers, be encouraged. Mothers, be encouraged. There is a solution. There is a place of transformation. Currently, it's at Swan Bay. There are 30 participants here. Their graduation rate is fantastic. They don't return back to prison for around $35,000 a year. These men are loved, taken care of. They're validated, and they're completely transformed and restored to manhood. This has been another podcast, Community Conversations with Pietro. We are a podcast for those who have a heart for caring for others. If anything about this podcast has been of interest to you, please go to connectglobalLTD.org and make contact with Ross Penny. But also, if anything about the podcast has caused you any grief, reach out to Lifeline on 131114. I am Pietro Di Girolamo, and together with my producer Michael Smith, we are Community Conversations. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.
Thank you.